You got to get into the no duelist for a core, which I think honestly, Icebox and Ascent are probably the two maps you can get away with that on, just because of the way they are set up. Some choke points to work with, things like that. And I don't think having no duelist was the issue for core in the first map of this Icebox. I think it was more of a coordination thing and ability to read the room with Illusion, which looks like Illusion is going to be able to do that against core as they all just flood very aggressively through mid, and they're punished therefore as Illusion was completely set up and ready for that. It's all down to Cavern with just a classic in hand. Free gun, by the way, and this is why it's a free gun. It can't quite win in a 1 versus 4 situation when they're all stacked up against you. Cavern falls, Illusion with a very commanding first round win on the second map.
I got a question why Cavern didn't just sprint for the spike plant. You get a few extra credits. Yeah, it's not a great position for you to be in, but it's whether
agree.
They collapse on you in a 1v4 as a retake or a 1v4 as you're walking next to balcony outside a market. Like, I don't usually fully question things, but why on that situation? Hey, you do you, you're playing the game, I'm not. Sometimes situational calls for them is much more difficult than it is for us. You could have expected somebody in Boathouse, had no shot at it whatsoever. That was the call. It didn't work out. It is what it is, as the kids say, and goes the 0 point and the sonar dart on both sides. One detects 4, the other detects 1, and in so, the 4 will back the heck away.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of stagnation. The one thing I will say about the last round is there's so much chaos happening that I was distracted by the mid lane. I don't know if they actually had full confirmation that the B-side was open or not, so that could be the case. But either way, going to this next round, they're looking to grab the orb. Some shock darts going out, sprays through the wall, and they haven't quite done enough for a kill, but still definitely a lot of damage down onto the Brimstone, who will definitely be following up the teammates this time around. Manish, ooh, nice head dink from Churro. Keeping that Sage a little bit honest, as the heal is not quite available yet, as it's already been used.
That was used earlier, especially with the shock darts being thrown through. Denz is playing the long angle here with the Ares. Already 2 sprays through with that Ares. It's going to be a full B commit. The question now remains, does it work out? The answer seems to be not particularly. Good 1-for-1, now 2-for-2 trade. Not really favoring anybody, but the weapon advantage will still play into the hands of Illusion. There's another kill. Cavern dropping. Alvarez leaves now just the Killjoy in a 1 versus 2. Snarly, not a great position for them, switching from one Sentinel role on the other. From the Sage last map into the now dead Killjoy. This time around, 2 in a row for Illusion, winning the statistically most likely round for them to pick up. And as they push through into the third, it's a bonus round that you'll probably see them just with pistols.
There's a little thing I'm going to hyper-focus on for no good reason. Hidden's dropped the Ares and picked up the Spectre there for that last kill, because I think the Spectre is a better option for there. Faster, no wind-up time, and you can just run and gun it a lot better. When you know the enemy player is a little bit weakened. We decided not to pick the Ares back up despite holding this angle for B main. And instead going to be challenging with the Spectre from the doorway instead of holding the wall with an LMG. No way of that is the better option, I'd say. It's just interesting that that was the decision making. Mid completely wide open by both teams. Entirely. Which is interesting. Not even utility. Literally now finally a smoke. There wasn't even a alarm bot being dropped over there.
Oh, Alvarez gets jabaited. You got jabaited. Insert troll meme here. Critical finds the kill, and Illusion dropped the opener. Not a great position for them to be in. They should be able to recover that rifle. I believe it just was by the KO. But around towards B seems to be the call with the opener towards A. They're gambling on the fact that the rotations will be baited out. That is an incorrect assumption. They have found out the Killjoy, but they still have to clear out Denz's position. That seems to be the call. It is Snarly wins the gunfight, leaving just Churro on this B side alone. Trippy now coming over. The Shrouded step in towards the site will allow them to re-aggress across. Town has to clear this close angle, and they don't, not early enough, but it will not matter. The Vandal is just better. Churro now in a 1 versus 4 on the site. Finds a second as well. Needs to find a third and will not. Manish will shut him down. Critical looking to swing back onto Foon. Their counterpart sitting right in front of him. They have yet to find the peak. This is still possible. The Vandal's out for Foon, but as they walk straight in and don't clear the close corner, Critical will shut him down, and Core pick up their first here on Ascent.
So on paper, based on Illusion winning the first round, this has progressed exactly how you would expect. Fairly healthy roster Core. Dropping these 2 members to Churro, though, was pretty costly, but not enough that I think it's going to be that big of a factor. They can still fully buy up. There's an Odin in the hand for Cavern, who elects to get that instead of full armor. with a lesser weapon. Oh, switch around allows them to get a full armor instead. Very nice. Quick little money management.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What is that from Manish? Snarly, I understand that peak. Alvarez dying, but Manish just jumping up and hits the headshot regardless. Trippy's now left alone on the site, has absolutely no utility whatsoever. Dark cover's not available. They've already been used. He's been detected, sonar'd out, and now dead. But Churro, there for the refrag, finds only one. Den's now left alone. In goes the first of 2 shock darts, the second thrown in just the same. The Owl drone's available, but Sonar still has 20 seconds left on it. This is a 1 versus 3. It is more than possible, especially with the Odin out. You have that continuance of fire available, but you have to find an opener. That's the issue they're going to run into. The spray down below will not land. It's the Uno reverse card placed down from Cavern as they shoot back up through the heaven position, and Core tie us up.
Just Ascent Sova Odin is essentially the description of how the very end of that round went. All tied up. Core definitely looking a lot more composed and cohesive in this map than we saw on Icebox. Like, by far. They look a completely different team on attack. They look like they're just stacking up, getting ready for execute. They'll send a utility, get on a site after the utility used, and set up crossfires, things like that. The 101s they're doing effectively, and they're also setting up backwards a little bit in case there's some cheeky plays on B sites. Illusion on a bit of a save round. They realize this. And Illusion definitely goes for this aggressive death ball strategy as they are again. And Core is ready for it.
Well, Town catches his timing. Booms drop looking for a second. His Town, but the over-aggression will indeed cost them critical.
Oh no, don't do it.
Cover. A good flash. It has to land. It doesn't, but Cavern with the wall bang will manage with a double from the bottom of mid. Will land the shots required. And Core now take the lead. If I've done my statistics correctly, this is the first time they've had the lead in the series.
Yes, that is accurate. And critical right there. I was concerned as he kept pushing forward, posturing to walk out of the smoke from the pot flash. Maybe comms came through, and it's like, critical, you're better than this. You know better than this. And indeed they did. They did not go that aggressive and ambitious, especially since the smoke timer was almost gone as well, which made that work out even better. But now it's going to be a buy up for Illusion. Core definitely looking completely night and day versus what they looked like on Icebox attack side. So that little bit of time to discuss things was good. Perhaps they could have taken a tactical timeout last map and had that time to discuss instead. But nevertheless, here they are with improvements made on their map pick.
Alvarez looking to hold down the angle, dashes straight to their teammate. The spray across still finds a first kill. I don't think the information's there as to their teammates' whereabouts. Now it is. In goes the Hunter Spirit on that defensive side. Actually walks straight into it. Orbital strike as well. The aggression coming through for both sides, but Alvarez goes on to 3 frags. The orbital strike finds absolutely nothing, nor does the Hunter's Fury, and a lot of control now gained here for Illusion. All of the A site is theirs, but it's a full rotation that way, and a baited one at that. Trippy, the peek across, should find the kill, but doesn't. Critical finds the frag, and they could push onto the B site completely unrestricted, but they have to do so quickly. They will indeed. Cavern holding the long angle, looking for this first kill, really giving them the advantage. Holding the long angle, finds a first, finds a second as well through the wall, and only drops to 25 HP. Core can pull this off.
Churro can as well. Both members are very weak. Just 1 or 2 body shots is all it's needed for Churro. 1 for Cavern. But Suppress makes this a little bit tougher, and the wall of penetration shots will be doing the same. The ping from the Owl drone lets them know where to aim. And it was technically winnable, but it was played literally perfectly from the 2 members of Core in that situation.
I think Illusion had a little bit of a slower retake than they probably should have. Through A main, it takes much longer to get towards mid than it does from the top of CT, or the top of heaven on A. An awkward position for the defensive side to be in, but Reno calls the timeout for the squad. Reno's the coach for earlier. Illusion, take a second. And understandably so, this is 4 straight loss rounds for them.
Yep.
2.5 being gun rounds, 1.5 being ecos, 1.5 buy, so I guess that's the half. Core, on the attacking side, are in a good position here, Chad. If they can build off of this lead, especially on the attacking side of their own map pick, as they head onto the defense, they can set up those crossfires that I'm sure they've practiced, the reason they've picked the map. And look.
Yeah, I'd say this is a perfect time for a timeout. Like, if there's ever a time for a timeout without you bleeding too much, this would be the time. You had 2 full buy-up rounds and just the bad reads overall. Core looks like a completely different animal at this point. They're playing super different than they did on Icebox. So it's the time to say, okay, maybe they just had like they were mentally shook from our offense on Icebox, so their offense wasn't very good to follow or something. I don't know. But all we do know is that they're playing up now, and we can't do the same things, get away with it that we did on Icebox. But now we need to adjust some things to figure things out. And a lot of that is the fact that Core is more willing to send a lot more utility and be a lot more aggressive with their attack. And now Illusion's answer is let's completely stack a site and gamble, and that might pay off. Tucked away in logs, we'll be able to get at least one, but that's all they've gotten so far until Churro and Foon show up.
Cross, Foon looks to find the first, a shock dart into their teammate as it goes straight off the wall, but the round goes their way regardless. They'll stabilize the core and recover that rifle. Good positioning from Illusion, just not matching the aggression from Core. A good null command to really be the catalyst of that aggression onto the B side, removing every single one of the abilities of all 5 players on the Illusion side. Yes, the aggression was there. Yeah, a couple shots landed, but just not enough. Illusion drop yet another, finally into a gun round.
Okay, so there's a gamble stack for eco round. Fair enough, you take a gamble. That's how it goes. But now with the buy operator for Alvarez, who will be controlling B main. Killjoy utility is all set for A instead. This is where they want to change the allocation of resources. But it's going to be so much effort on Alvarez, who has to hold down B main. So many people here missing the first shot. No more dashes to be used. The shorty will not be good enough for this moment, but Dins has the cover fire.
Barely at that. Finally, they get the shot through, and goes a Hunter's Fury aggression from really both sides. But the Hunter's Fury finds 2 as they line up for it. Don't line up for linear aggression, ladies and gents. Not the position you want to be in. They trade shock darts. None of them land. And the call now, run your tails towards A into the full Killjoy setup and the awaiting arms of the KO.
Yeah, they're actually running into a little bit worse of a situation because of the Killjoy setup. Recovered and Critical played this rotation play perfectly last time, but I was in a 2 versus 3 situation. 2 versus 5 with all his utility still available for Illusion. Don't know if they're going to be able to do the same thing. It's even tougher of a task by far. Even getting into the site. Even getting to the site itself beyond this doorway is going to be a tough task. I don't think it's in the cards. It's all down to Critical and 1 HP. 2 make that even. Well, it's 1 more they need, but it's going to need a lot more than that if we're going to survive that shot through the corner by Foon. A flawless round by Illusion with a fantastic adaptation of resources and response after the timeout.
On today's episode of r/, there was an attempt, course attack on the A. The 0 point not landing really allowed Illusion to concrete themselves on the site. It helped that 3 players were already solidifying themselves in the point itself, and with Core not landing that 0 point and the Owl drone finding absolutely nothing other than bare bones information and 0 tags, the swings were perfect from Illusion, and a strong 3rd round win, their first since the 2nd round. It's been a little while since they had a win, I think.
Indeed. Resurrection is available for Core. The null command from Illusion can even further stall. So if Core does go to base site, which is where they're rotating it again, and yet again a bad call, which is interesting. They see a Sova and Jet on B and decide, you know what, let's go away from that and go towards where probably is the KO and Killjoy at that point. Well, the KO has no command, so I feel like at this point in time, if you have confirmation of where the Sova is, you push forward a little bit, figure out the Killjoy's not here, you just execute there. But they choose to go A site instead, and this is going to be tough to push through while suppressed going into that Killjoy util. And we're going back. And I think it's a good call. We still have time to do it. Let's do it now.
Look how quickly Alvarez has taken this control, though. If they don't make noise on this defensive side, they're in a good position to deal with this. As long as there's no rotations through the attacker spawn, they're in a good spot. Trippy gains the information and backs away. From the shadows does not always have to be used in an aggressive manner. Information is always the name of the game in tactical first-person shooters. There's the info, and they find an opening kill as well here on the Illusion defense. Foon finds yet another. The fragment being thrown in. It is a trade as Foon does fall. The spray through, though, does not. Snarly, good position, dies just the same. And Alvarez, with that aggression, converts off their 2nd frag on the round. Illusion bring themselves back to within 1.
Yeah, honestly, Illusion played that round perfectly based on what Core is doing. Core fell off. They got the sense of it. They showed up over towards A site. The null command was popped just to stall them out a little bit, and that allows time for Alvarez to get that control on tiles. Once that first pick happened and Trippy used that from the shadows into A main, that kind of baited Core into thinking, you know what, they think we left, so let's go ahead and rotate back into A. But then that kill onto town happened the same timing, so when they tried going to A, they got shut down. And it all was just over at that point as numbers advanced for Illusion, just encroaching on the remaining members of Core. And now Core going back to B main, but Alvarez is still here with the operator. Nothing has changed from Illusion because it hasn't been foiled these plans in the last few rounds. And Alvarez still not being foiled with his operator in hand.
Benz hits the shock dart and hits the headshot onto Snarly. And now it's Alvarez looking to get aggressive. The super shorty not going to land. Actually, it's brought back. Wait a second. This has turned from a 5 versus 2 to a 2 versus 2 with site control for Core should they take it aggressively. But now with the retake utility here, this could turn around. A good flash means Cavern can't see a dang thing, but the spray's still there. 63 bullets remaining in that large barrel magazine. Still needs to find a frag, though. They're continuing to take this control. Cavern looking to push through. It misses. Town is flashed as well. Can't see a dang thing. Good coordination and a strong flash gives Foon the aggression and Illusion the tied game.
Yeah, it's just the good old pop flash out of smoke from a KO to do the job just fine. Tied game for sure, and not a good buy for Core. However, they do have 4 ultimates to work with. The Resurrection is still online for Manish, who hasn't popped off just quite the same as we've seen on the Chamber, when now on the Sage.
Quick peeks now.
I do feel like Chamber is a viable pick on Descent, so it's interesting that they went over to the Sage instead. I have to imagine that's...
You bring no duelist and you bring double sentinel.
Yep.
An awkward position. And one of the sentinels isn't Chamber. A weird position,
Yeah.
but 100 Fury. It lands for damage, and they take the site. That's the entire site gone. Illusion now have to retake without much control and with no ultimates to use.
Lockdown being underway, the plant will go down, the player advantage for Core as well. And also on that point, I have to imagine the defensive side of things will be a lot better, but that's something we talked about on the other side of the half. For at least for right now, Illusion realizing that with forecast of discussion will need to be... They're at least in contention right now with 5 rounds, but they definitely with this composition will want to 7 on their attack. For the defensive side of things, I should say. But it's not looking good right now. Snarly on a perfect position garage.
Oh my goodness, finds a first, finds a second, finds a third. The spray transfer's there. The ace is not. Manish gets the final kill. Foon denies the ace attempt. And there was an attempt, just unfortunately not the successful one. Rifles recovered. Core retake the lead into the final round of the half.
The operator is picked up for Manish as well, which is an interesting decision. Even with a Jet or Chamber on the team, an operator on offense isn't always the case. They decided to go with it this time around. That was a fantastic spray transfer from Snarly. Almost got that last kill. I have to think that if they did, that maybe that would be contention for a sweet flick of the day. Even still is a possibility. Which is crazy. We've mentioned that for 2 plays so far. And this is literally the first series of the day. We have 2 more after this. And this game isn't even over yet. Series, I should say. On top of that, score is looking good right now. Churro, though, would gain the first frag, and the hold on A site is good. This is not the place for you to go, Core. Go back to B, where you found some success. You're still trying for it, interestingly enough, and it's not working out.
You're able to strike, just section stuff off. A good res. Unfortunately, Cavern dies again. Down goes Town. Vanish. Now in a 1 versus 4 here, Chad. Has 60 seconds on the clock. This is more than possible, but with an op and no healing orb for the next 30, you're in an awkward position. They just want to get aggressive, though. They'll find the information onto the first, but still the shot's not landing. They are still suppressed, and they're now dead. Illusion tie us up. The real question remains, will they take control back? We'll find out after the break. Third Street Summer Champs. Illusion tied us up as we head into the halftime break. Core still have some control to work with. This is their map pick. They are on the defensive side of said map pick. I'm still Time to Light, joined here by Chad Lantis. And Chad, the first half really back and forth.
It really was. And this second half, I think, is going to be really in favor of Core, actually, with this composition they're coming out with. Something that we first saw in a scene very prominently from a team of Virtuoso, Anders being the coach at the helm for that decision making. Is a no duelist composition on a set specifically is incredibly strong on defense with having weaknesses on offense. The fact that Core got 6 rounds is good as it is, and right now Illusion tries to answer with aggression just like they did Icebox, and so far so good as they're good for 2 for 1 as a cost, and they're approaching on to A side. Town doing everything they can to stall them, fall off, survive, and allow the team to rotate through.
Vision's already there. They're starting to make this way back into it. Town on the far side towards main. There's the rotation short as well. Town with a double straight through. Is only hit for 15 with that shock dart. Trippy has to get aggressive here, and they seem to be aware of it. Town with their third on the round, and a lot of staying power here for the defensive side. It's down to Dens, who will fall. Snarly picks up right where their Brim left off, and Illusion drop the pistol for the first time this series.
Yeah, and honestly, Town could not have played that round any better. Use the incendiary just to stall them enough for the rotation to come through to have some support. Had the spray down, the perfect read in the situation, got done just in time as the smoke was coming through. Perfect shots there. And the read that Trippy was going to push through aggressively through their own smoke, even pinged it for the allies saying, yep, they're going to push through this, 100%, they're aggressive. And it was ready, repositioned themselves, so Trippy was expecting it and got that last frag. Perfectly done, and Core with a no duelist on the team as a stronger defensive option because they have a lot more utility to work with, a lot better ways of locking down the map that essentially has 4 choke points total. So the long bot, the turret, the narrow swarms for B-side, the information from Sova, the pop flashes from KO, the smokes and the incendiaries, and as the fragment as well for the A-site setup. And the Sage that can wall off tree, everything is counted for, everything's locked down, critical. The bait and switch alongside Town will be able to get the first 2 frags of the anti-eco.
Town does die to the shock dart, but, well, Critical's just spraying them down and putting down some sprays just for a good measure. This should be a relatively clean finish to the round for Core, regardless of how the next few gun fights play out. Churro looking to get aggressive in towards mid, has found a decent bit of control to work with, but Cavern has now been smoked off and is sitting inside of smoke. I don't think they're aware of it. They could have gotten aggressive in towards B main, but it's a little too late for Trippy. Churro dies. Poorly timed peek. Unfortunate for the Killjoy, who also dies to a Killjoy. Oh, I saw tactical crouching. Uh-oh. Somebody call the landmins.
It was a glitch. It was a bug. I promise. I swear.
Sure.
I just really want to look at that little beacon on the ground. I just want a better look at it. Core now on their bonus. I will be honest, though, with how the compositions go, like, Illusion has to go through these choke points. That's just how Ascent is. It's getting past these choke points is the big part of it. And with this composition, especially since they're all going towards B-side, which is what Core is planning for with all its utility, going towards mid instead. There's still a lot of Core members here around the choke points. Shotgun in hand as well. Great read on the situation. Beautiful rotation to A-site. Exactly what Illusion needed to do.
Cavern needs to spray right now. It just hasn't. It goes to shock dart. It's late. It could have landed, but it did not. Churro does not make it under the door, and now just has to wait in the close angle. That shock dart lands for very little. The swing for Town misses entirely. The Bucky whiffs. Now Manish has to find a kill here and will not, spraying straight through. Actually does find the kill into Churro. The slow orb looking to push through. The flash as well. It's mistimed though. Dens flashed, as was their Sage, but still good positioning for Core on this retake. All 3 players in through short. Slow reaction time though for Alvarez could cost them. Foon on the site looking to play the long angle. The crossfire's there. The Omen in a good position to deal with this. The far swing as Omen does just that. Manish now left alone. 1 versus 2 has the sound cues and is now gone. Illusion win the anti-bonus, a vital round for them to pick up.
Definitely a vital round for Illusion. They did lose 3 members. They got the spike planted though, so that kind of buffers it a little bit, so they can still get a pretty good buy up here. Churro not on good eco, but whatever. At the very end there for Core, 2 versus 2, they did get weapon upgrades, but at the very end of it all, they went and did lone wolf plays, which I would like to see them try to go for a little bit better of a 2-player entry option or something like that. A little ahead of the game was Cavern, ahead of Manish, but next round, all good, move forward. These cheeky Sage wall plays. And Sage, I think, was the pick over a Duelist, mostly because of the defensive side. The Sage wall plays for lockdowns of sites and entrances and creative angles to hold. It's very strong on the map of Ascent.
Scanning ahead.
Cavern the Sonar Dart should gain a lot of information, and Snarly just waiting here is Foon looking to fall at the exact same angle they dropped critical in just a little bit earlier. Shock Dart thrown in, it misses. That one should as well, and indeed does. Aggression now switched towards mid and in towards A. Short seems to be the call here for the attacking side, and understandably so. Good paranoia back towards
Nice subsidiary.
Town, who's just waiting. He has to wait. He has to back away. Town just waiting. No, he dies. The re-aggression, though. Manish can push this, but has to find a frag. Snarly, though, finds one of their own, as does Critical. This has continued to turn back and forth between the two squads. Nobody really taking control until now. Illusion does just that.
I'm loving Illusion's gameplay. They're just sending it. It's like every side. They're just full, like, grouping up and just running it down left, right, center, and just throwing core into a confusion of where exactly are they going to go. Luckily for Carrot, had a little bit of a good spray down and finds Alvarez, but makes it a 2 versus 2 situation. The spike planted. And yet again, we see Churro holding up in Garage. We saw this beat work out really well for Core on this Killjoy positioning last half. Will work out for Churro.
Information gained, that'll drop the turrets, but they have yet to clear out Churro. They should be relatively aware of the Killjoy's positioning considering the turret placement, but you're never fully aware. The swing, that should find the Sova, but it doesn't. Now Trippy's left alone, in towards the boathouse. It's planted for him, but he has to shoot the sonar dart. Now the information's there. The spray through, it does not land, but it does a decent bit of damage. That time, it kills him. He will fall. The Odin's there. You can hear the team screaming in the background. The time should be there. It is.
Oh.
By 2/3 of a second, just barely, but a Core round win regardless.
If Cavern had anything other than an Odin, then Illusion won that round.
Yep.
That's wild. And that is exactly why people go with Odins, with Sovas on Descent all the time. It's basically a staple pick. That's nuts. I mean, that wall is so durable for the back of Boathouse. The spray down through that smoke as well to find Alvarez. The quantity of bullets going the way of Churro as well. It's just absolutely insane. Very close round for Illusion. However, Core comes out on top. Great job by them. The wall placement and shut down by the judge in the hands of Town. And this is a field day for Town. Welcome home, says the man, the Brim, with an ace in hand. What a round for Town, who has played this defensive side of the map absolutely perfectly thus far.
The meat grinder there with the judge and the anti-eco. No armor means no time to live. The TTL still existing, just in more coding terms rather than anything else. Town hears the swing. There's a first, a second, and a third. The fourth to boot just with a single magazine. The switch out, an unnecessary switch. He could have done that in one magazine. Decides not to, just for the safe bet. But the bet was there, and it paid off in dividends. Core onto double digits. This is exactly what they need on their own map.
Judges relocate over towards mid. That's not where you want to be if you're the side of Illusion, that's for sure. But nice fragment play to push him off the corner, actually. Really good read on the situation and clearing it out. But good response by Town yet again. I'm honestly just, as a recently became Brimstone main, I am very much enjoying Town's decision making so far on this defensive side, especially. Hasn't had an easy go on the map of Icebox. And naturally didn't have an easy time on offense because of the team opposition, but on defense really has come to light and owning this opportunity presented to them.
Managed with the spray. That's a triple found from the sonar, and they line up 2 for each. It's down to just Trippy. There's 1 through the smoke, but has to find 2 more, and will not. It's 11 for Core. Town with yet another on the judge. That is 6 in 2 rounds of play. Finally switching out for a rifle, but apparently he should probably just hold on towards that judge. Reno calling another timeout for the Illusion squad. There's 4 ultimates available for the team. Good sectioning utility used from Core in that orbital strike from the Brimstone you saw. I love to see how efficient they've been on the defensive side.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking forward to, as well as forecasting it towards the end of that last half, is that Illusion really needed to get to like a 7-5. Like the bare minimum was 5 rounds, but getting to a 7-5 half would have been really nice because they would need the lead considering this team composition. And I didn't expect Town to play it so immaculately on top of it all so far. The rest of Core as well doing a fantastic job. Can't say it's all just a Town show, but definitely seems to be the sheriff of these lands, that's for sure. The Odin work from Cavern has been immaculate. The reads as well from players like Snarly and Manish, Critical, have been fantastic. This composition, they have all the utility in the world. And Illusion, while I love their playstyle of just being super aggressive and aggro on offense, it really struggles when it comes to a team that can just lock down the 4 choke points of the map. They have enough utility to do that effectively. So no matter what, as an aggressive team, you're going to be running into utility that just disrupts your flow and makes it so much harder to just be aggro like that. So Illusion off the back end of this timeout, while I love the aggressive gameplay, outside of this null command, which will allow you to do the aggressive play, maybe want to slow it down, but even for this round, they just keep pushing forward. The spike is in spawn even, so they're going to make a play for A and maybe rotate to B. Should be the case.
It's a fake. Boom's the only one here, dropping the wall and pushing through, using the fragment to gain some control, but will fall regardless. It is a fake, though. They found it out from the shadows used to get in towards the boathouse, and the plant should come through relatively unrestricted. In goes the Hunter's Fury, but that should not land, assuming they avoid it, and they do. Good positioning here for the attacking side, but Churro getting over aggressive, not dropping the door in towards the market will cost him his life. Town getting aggressive in towards the garage, unaware of Den's positioning, but does not care. 4 HP left over for the Brim, and now Trippy left over with 125 and a 1 versus 5. None now left over. Core onto map point, looking to force Haven.
Yeah, even with the null command being popped, there's already that utility already being used, can be sent by a distance, and the fact that you can just spray down an ankle. We're on LAN connections, where we don't have LAN servers specifically, but we're all on very low ping. Look at that right now, under 20. These players are all skilled enough. They can hold an angle. If they hear you stomping through, they can just time that, like, all right, 1, 2, 3, shoot. We'll just start spraying now because we can hear the stomping coming in. It's like, they are easily skilled enough to be able to hold an angle just like that if you're being aggressive and very telegraphed for the playstyle. So that did not work out for Illusion whatsoever, and was still not going to work out for the final round if they choose to do the same thing. Light armor in hand, they really have needed a long time ago to slow down, bait out utility from Core, whittle down those resources to then finally execute on sites. They just simply haven't done that. Despite being a playstyle I enjoy watching, it is not one that's effective in the current form of Valorant.
Critical. Oh my goodness. Fragment dropping their counterpart. Down goes Spoon early. This is not a good opener for the Illusion side, who really cannot afford to lose these players early. 2 ultimates available for the attacking side. 1 for the defense. 1 is shared by the 2. Lockdowns for each, and the Hunter's Fury, which is the counter to the lockdown, available for Illusion. That's the position they need to use. Hope they bait out that lockdown and then counter it and use one of their own. That's really the only way into this. I do not like their overall chances already with the man disadvantage, and they haven't really chosen a site. They finally do. It seems to be B is the call.
Player down. They have a lockdown that Hunter's Fury to work with. Enemy lockdown can be used as well. At least this one will be able to push them off. Critical trying to get that suppression in time. It's okay. You got 2 kills instead on the way out. Pops the null command. Has the ping, but can't quite get the spray down, but still good ship damage to be used. And they have their own lockdown to work with on the way back. That's a good shock dart. Won't get the kill. Nerfs coming through. Owl drone being used as well. They'll get a lot of information on top of things that Hunter's Fury could be used by Illusion still to be able to cancel out that lockdown, which is absolutely needed. But during that time, Churro will be the person who has to hold the ground. You can only get good for 1. Cavern good for 2. Core going to map 3.
An efficient finish to the second map there for Core. 13-7 for both teams. Everybody placing down everything dead even. 20 rounds for the two squads.